Good morning, Commissioner Howell.
Good morning. How are you this morning, Janelle?
Very well, thank you. See, Ezra joined us. Good morning, Commissioner Meyer.
Morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you. Good morning, Commissioner Foster.
Good morning, Janelle.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioner Bookland.
Good morning, Janelle. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Good morning, Alan.
Good morning, Janelle.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioner Wilson.
Good morning. How's life?
Very good. Thank you.
It's good that it's very good.
Okay, good morning, everybody. It's 8 o'clock. I don't think Sarah's joined yet, has she?
That's correct. She is not on yet.
Okay, well, we'll start the meeting. Hopefully she'll get on soon. Okay, then welcome to all of our guests. And Janelle, would you like to go through the virtual meeting guidance?
Certainly. Good morning, commissioners, members of the public, and staff. To help us have a smooth meeting, I'm going to review just a few decorum rules for all. Number one, please ensure your mic is muted unless you are speaking. Number 2, please state your name before speaking. Number 3, in general, please have your cameras on if possible if you're speaking. You may turn your cameras off if you're experiencing technological challenges. Number 4, as a reminder, the public chat has been disabled, but you can still send messages to the host if need be. And this meeting is being recorded and streamed live on YouTube. Those are the decorum rules. So let's have a great meeting, everyone, and welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Janelle. Michael, do you have any announcements?
President Hubble, no announcements today.
Okay, thank you. No announcements. Any appearances by the public? Anybody in the public is participating here via Zoom and they have anything to say? I don't see any hands up, so we'll move on. That will take us to the consent calendar where we have the minutes from the last meeting, cash statement operating fund, capital projects budget repair to West Interceptor extension on Allen Boulevard, and then review of business and the board of purchases for a liquid emulsion polymer. Do we have any questions before we get a motion? Okay, don't see any hands. So do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
It's Wilson, I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Second.
motion by Commissioner Wilson. I think that was Grant that seconded it. Yep. Okay, motion by Commissioner Wilson, second by Commissioner Foster to approve the consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Tom, could I abstain from the portion of that that's about the meeting last time since I wasn't there?
Okay, so the Ezra will abstain from the minutes, right? Okay, so that will take us to the topics. The first thing is to approve the district strategic plan. Michael, are you going to lead this off, or Bill?
I will lead this off. Janelle, can you pull up my presentation, please? Thank you. So we have 2 items on the agenda for the commission to consider today. One is to approve the strategic plan, district strategic plan as a planning document, and there is a resolution for that. And then after approval of that, moving into the focus items that will be included in the 2023 budget. Thanks, Janelle. You can move to the next slide. And then move to the next slide. This
Janelle,
effort.
we're seeing your presenter's view.
This process started when the commission provided direction last spring, and really, and through this whole strategic planning process. Okay, you can go to the next one, please. Thank you. Of wanting the district to be strategic and be a leader, and for the commission to spend their time looking forward and ahead and really moving the district forward. And also being intentional and selective with limited resources. We have to focus on what we have to do well. We have to focus on doing a few things really well instead of a lot of things marginally, and then to align the budget every year with those priorities that the commission establishes, and then looking forward after those priorities are established, having a means to be able to monitor if we're actually as a district making progress and we're actually performing. And that is really what this effort has been over the last year or so. Next slide, Janelle. The elements of the strategic plan, and you know this very well, you've been in these study sessions for several study sessions this year, but this is more for the public. But if you could click on this, Janelle, the elements here. We first start with a big, broad district strategic purpose of why we exist and what makes the district special from other organizations, and then identifying what our owner communities expect from us, and emphasizing what those items are. And then in order to accomplish that purpose and expectations, there have to be some more detailed performance areas which are things we have to be really good at to perform the strategic plan, and then following up with indicators or ways of doing that. In the early discussions last year with the commission, the piece that's really been missing in our strategic work has been this performance area work. It's kind of been the gap, this middle zone of how do we know we're making progress, because our purpose and the owner expectations are so broad, and you don't make specific improvements every year necessarily and can demonstrate improvements in those areas every year. So we need a way to monitor progress on those, and the performance areas are the way to do that, and they're reported through the indicators. Next slide, please. So the strategic plan reflects the commission's input, and the way this plan was written, it was written in a manner to provide context of why this structure is being used in this manner and how it fulfills those commission objectives that I just outlined. And the commission spent a lot of time working on developing the strategic purpose. Staff started with one version to start getting the commission moving, and the commission did a wonderful job of consolidating it and focusing it. And that's what the strategic purpose aligns. And then during your sessions, you also spent a lot of time, obviously, on the owner expectations and what owners expect from us. And you've identified some areas that you believe are critical. Next slide, please. Here is the one pager of the plan with the strategic purpose, and of course the 5 owner expectations and the 7 performance areas. And the plan itself goes into more detail on describing what those areas mean, including in the strategic purpose, some definitions of some of the key words where the commission had significant discussions around in terms of leadership and being strategic and equitable and other things like that. Next slide, please. So I'm going to pause there and before focus items, and ask the commission if there are any thoughts or ideas about the strategic plan, and ask for a motion to accept the strategic plan for planning purposes. So turn it over to President Hubble for discussion, questions, and action.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Anybody have any questions?
It's Wilson. Tom, can I ask or just say a couple things? So
Absolutely.
okay, thank you. So I looked at this and I wanted to thank you all for getting it to us early. That was really appreciated, to have an opportunity to look at it, at least a couple times. And I got to tell you that I didn't see anything in there that I disagreed with that we had done in the past. I thought it reflected what we went through, and I just want to say I appreciate the work that you did on it, all of you. Thank you.
Okay. Ezra's got a thumbs up. Okay, anybody else have any comments?
This is Commissioner Bookland. I want to echo those thoughts. I think that it looks really good. I just have one little picky thing under the owner's expectations. Number one, the district to protect public health. Just get rid of the and. So public health, welfare, and the environment. There's just two ands in there. That's just one little picky thing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Move the the district strategic plan. We've got the resolution in the packet 2022-08-25-R3.
I'll make a motion to approve the strategic plan and the resolution.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Wilson to approve the strategic plan through the resolution.
I'll second that, Tom. Commissioner Clark.
Okay, second by Commissioner Clark. Okay, any further discussion or observations?
Good work, everyone.
Thank you for the effort. Well, I think the commission too. So I don't see anybody else with any hands up with any comments. So we will vote. All those in favor of approving the district strategic plan, please say aye.
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 And any opposed? None, motion carries. Okay. So I gotta go back here.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to congratulate the commission. To my recollection, this is the first time the commission has approved their own strategic plan, and I'm really proud of the work that you have done and the discussions that happened. And this is a really good piece of work on your part. So thank you. Thank you very much. The next step will be to place into policy elements of this plan. And I'll be returning to the commission after we're through the budget, with looking at the commission's policy book and replacing the outcomes and global outcome statements with these elements of your work, to have commission policy reflect the top end of the strategic plan. So there'll be some formal actions where the commission will be taking in the future. Now moving on the focus items, and really the focus items is where we translate intent into action, and it's the critical part, and it's something that I heard loud and clear from the commission is we have to focus on what are we getting done, what do we want to do, what are the key priorities, and what do we want to accomplish next year, and how do we have that done in time so when we move into the budget process, we're clear about how the commission can align the resources of the district toward those priorities. And so the focus items really reflect 3 layers of that. If you click on that, Janelle, please, for me. There are levels of items that require commission policy work, are areas that may have political implications or broad implications, or are areas that the commission believes are need attention. And those are the areas, the 1 layer of the plan. There's also executive level priorities, things that I'm working with the executive team on that we believe we have to be really good at to achieve those policies you've established. And the items for 2023 that we are committing to accomplishing. And then there are the 3rd layer, which are things that are already in the hopper, already received clear policy guidance from the commission. And the resources are assigned and moving forward, and we're at a monitoring level of monitoring progress. And so that is really how we structured the focus items. You'd move to the next slide, please. The items in commission discussions that were elevated or added to this plan include the development of a climate mitigation plan, which the commission will approve in 2023. More work around really understanding what's our role with equity and having the commission better define and scope out what equity means for the district. And then a concentrated effort on commission performance monitoring of how we take this plan that we're approving and how can the commission monitor performance of it and monitor staff performance, and how can staff report to you the information you need to evaluate if we're making sufficient progress. The other item that was elevated was the inflow and infiltration program. And in the discussion with the commission, it was clear that there are some program elements that will require commission policy, and that will be deciding how fast do we implement inflow and infiltration, how much regulatory enforcement do we work towards versus create an incentive-based program, and also policies around private laterals and how we can manage that type of a program. So we'll be bringing to you some elements of a policy in the I&I program area as we move this program forward. So those were the items that were elevated. Okay, Janelle. So we've approved the resolution on the strategic plan. And so President Hubble, I'll turn it back over to you and the commission if there are any comments or questions on the proposed focus items for 2023.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Let's see, do we have any comments or questions on the proposed focus items that are within the plan? And there is also another resolution that would adopt these, 2022-08-25-R4. Do we have any comments or questions? Okay, I don't see anybody. I'm gonna have a question, Michael. Do you know I think there were 25 total items within that matrix. And do you think there's a need to prioritize some of those within some of the subsets, or do you think that it's a reasonable level to expect that work to be undertaken? Or do you think there has to be a prioritization?
They are prioritized in terms of, there's the work is either assigned or will be assigned to get these projects done. So I'm committing to you that the work and those deliverables in that plan will be accomplished in 2023. So our internal team, we've made some structural changes internally to how we evaluate these projects and what we can reasonably accomplish with existing workload. And each of those projects in there are evaluated. You'll see some of them they're baby steps, and some of them have bigger steps. So you'll see the gamut in all of those priorities, and some of them are going to move forward very quickly and be big work efforts, while others are moving along at what I'd call a learning phase or a learning pace.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Anybody else have any questions or comments before we get a motion to approve? So this will be setting our priorities for 2023. I don't see any hands up. So do we have a motion to approve, the resolution that approves the focus items?
I thought they looked good, Tom. This is Wilson. And in looking through them, I think Michael's right. I think they're kind of self-prioritizing in a way. So I'd move approval of these focus items for 2023 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Wilson. Do we have a second to approve the focus items?
Happy to second, Commissioner Meyer here.
Okay, second by Commissioner Meyer. Okay, any further discussion? Any further comments or discussion? Okay, I don't see any hands up or anything, so we'll get a vote on the motion by Commissioner Wilson, second by Commissioner Meyer to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 And any opposed? None, motion carries. Okay. That will take us to the Chief Engineer and Director's report. Michael?
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners. These items are already included in our draft budget that I'm working on that I'll be submitting to you in a couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to more discussions about priorities. I have 3 items to report. One is I want to thank the Commission for first supporting me in serving the National Park Service over the last month. For 21 days, I worked as a volunteer ranger on Stockton Island in the Apostle Islands on Lake Superior. And Lake Superior is the largest freshwater lake by surface area on Earth, and contains 10% of the world's freshwater supply. So it's a major lake and massive. The retention time for the lake is, in other words, when does the complete water supply in Lake Superior refresh itself? It's 191 years. And that's just reflective of the size. My master naturalist training was put to the test, and most of my work was interpretive programs with hikers and campers around the local geology, water resources, history, and animals and plants, and also encouraging visitors who are entering the wilderness area to minimize their footprint while enjoying the natural wilderness. And Janelle, if you go to the next slide. This is really a fun picture. This is a Boy Scout troop that 18, this is half the group, that was at a remote wilderness campsite for a week. And where I was stationed on the island, it took me about 2 hours to get to this campsite. And it was really fun working with them. And you'll see the one person holding up the essential resource when you're camping in a privy is having toilet paper, and they were really pleased when I helped replenish the supplies that with 18 young boys used. But it was really fun working, and that was the type of work that I did, was working with groups like this on camping and hiking in the wilderness areas. And the next slide, please. This is my last slide. But the most rewarding part of the work was swearing in junior rangers. And every day or so, we would have families come in, and they'd go through a program where they had a workbook. They had to solve problems. They had to find things in nature and work through things. And they had to develop a poem at the end that reflects their experience. And then they would commit to protecting natural resources for their life with this. And then I would give them a badge. And I found that's a very rewarding part of the experience. I did make some new connections. The superintendent of the park, Lynn Dominy, who from the National Park Service, we've been working with the Friends group of the National Apostle Islands Friends, and their focus in the national parks in this Lakeshore Park is on accessibility. And some of the efforts they're undertaking to make campsites accessible to those that need wheel assistance, and making trails accessible. We used to have a campfire pit in Stockton where I was serving, and they created an amphitheater that's accessible. And also they're building a 2-mile boardwalk ramp. So those who could never view a lighthouse on Sand Island can actually see a lighthouse. And it's very inspirational on the work they're doing around accessibility. And I was really pleased to learn some of these efforts that they're doing. Finally, I'll just wrap up here, in that in the National Park Service, I didn't even realize this until I really immersed myself, is that the volunteers outnumber career staff 2-to-1 in the Park Service across the nation. And so volunteers are the lifeblood of keeping our parks like Yellowstone and, parks around the country working. And it's been really rewarding for me to contribute in this way. And I just want to thank the commission again for allowing me to do this. The second item is our trainee program. And I'm pleased to announce that our trainee program hit its first exciting milestone. Rigoberto Ramon Solis successfully transitioned to a regular facility maintenance worker position. He was originally hired in February as the district's first trainee under our training program that was established by the commission this year. And this program was designed to support underrepresented individuals in the district's owner community service area and offer opportunities for people to come to work for the district who may not have specific training or qualifications for the work. So we're really pleased that Rigo has excelled in his trainee work, and he is now a regular full-time employee for the district, and will be now hiring a new trainee. And finally, the One Water Summit, I sent you an email, and the One Water Summit that is hosted by the U.S. Water Alliance is back after a 2-year pause because of COVID. And the summit will be held in Milwaukee on September 13th through the 15th. And we have a commission meeting on September 15th, but since that'll be a remote meeting, it shouldn't impact the ability to engage in this conference. And given its locale, it's close to Madison, and the impact a conference like this has, which is focused on water equity, sustainability. I would encourage commissioners to consider attending, and the district would sponsor and pay for your registration fees and any travel expenses if you choose to go. Commissioner Meyer has attended past events, and Commissioner Meyer, you may even want to put a short plug in here because you've experienced it, and I know you've gotten a lot out of it.
Definitely. No, thanks, Michael. I've attended this conference a bunch of times, sometimes in my work hat. And then I know in 2019, the district sent me when it was down in Austin, Texas, and it's excellent. It's a holistic look at sort of the water industry. It's drinking water utilities and sewage utilities like us, and nonprofits and watershed organizations, rural and city, and the whole gamut of sort of landscapes around the country tend to be represented. And it's a great event. Folks who put it on do a really good job, and both the sort of networking side and the content of what you get in sessions and whatnot is really good. So yeah, given it's so close in Milwaukee, I would definitely recommend it. I'm going to plan to go. Thanks, Michael.
So if there are those who would like to attend, you can send me an email, and we can register for you, or you can register yourself and still let me know, because I'm not anticipating that we'd have a quorum of the commission at the One Water Summit, but if we did, we'd have to notice it. Okay, back to you, President Hubble. That's my report.
Okay, thanks, Michael. And any regulatory and legal report?
Yes, in the few seconds from our last meeting, by the time I joined, it was already over. So I know you've been on pins and needles ever since to know what's going on. So I'll try and make this brief. A couple of regulatory developments, probably the most significant of which is the Anti-Degradation Program, the Rule Development Program is underway. My partner, Vanessa Wishart, is attending those meetings. There were two so far. There's another one coming up September 6th. And, we're certainly going to keep an eye out for anything that might impact our discussions on Badger Mill Creek. On the federal side, what has consumed most of the attention lately is the potential CERCLA listing for PFAS compounds. And that may have some long-term implications for biosolids management. So we're continuing to keep an eye on that. And there was a new guidance issued on wet testing. And I don't think that will have major impact, but it's something to note. In terms of legal services, for the month of July, it was still a fairly busy month. The issues associated with Badger Mill Creek, and we're continuing to work on those, and we'll be meeting, in fact, again tomorrow on that. There were some questions about industrial permits, particularly in terms of how to integrate PFAS requirements, and that's a work in progress. And then we were reviewing some of our adaptive management fisheries analysis to make sure that was in compliance with the plan. Number of contract issues came up. We're working on some templates. The most recent one is the template for purchase agreements, and I think that's pretty much wrapped up. There was some public bidding questions that came up. We're working a little bit on the TV contract on the SaltWise program. And then, of course, there was the Madison water utility issue on Regent Street that we took a look at. On the HR side, we've been reviewing some of the handbook policy issues and also looking at some open meetings questions related to ELC proceedings. So kind of a wide variety of things, but nothing too pressing right now. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to entertain them.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Anybody have any questions? Okay, then we'll move on to the operations report. Alan, are you going to provide that report again?
I am, Commissioner Hovell. Alan Grooms, Operations Manager for the district, and I'm going to present the July, it's actually the July operations report, but we obviously present that the following month. We have to get all the data collected and analyzed in the lab. So with no further ado, I'll move into performance metrics for the month. Pretty good month overall. BOD on our effluent, CBD 5, ammonia levels were pretty far down. That's fairly consistent with, getting lower flows, pretty steady flows to the plant, good aeration to the plant. That's kind of what that's telling us. Chloride as usual, that's kind of up. That's again, that's a dilution factor or concentration factor. Mass wise, it calculates out that it's pretty steady actually, but those numbers look like they're on the higher end of that shaded portion, which is our three-year average of what we've done in that. And the width of that is basically one standard deviation. So I guess what that means is in that shaded pie on all of these, I think that's like 68% of all the results would fall within that. So it kind of gives you a measure of how tightly are we within what's historical norms. So phosphorus and suspended solids, again, we're on the higher end of that. We had a solids excursion due to a clarifier issue on the 1st of July. So that pushed the number unusually high on that day for our effluent solids. We did not have we weren't even actually that close to a violation or anything like that. But for us, it was a very high number. And so that number bumps things up. And again, the phosphorus, being a biological phosphorus removal plant, that comes with that. And then our effluent fecal coliform bacteria counts 47, puts us on the lower end of that range, but within the 3-year range. So consider this as the second year of that new system operating. You're pretty much, the amount of treatment we're actually getting has been fairly remarkably stable, actually, even with the old system. But the newer system does it more efficiently and less energy expenditure. So, any questions on the July performance metrics? Okay, then I'll move on to the first resource recovery slide. This be covering the clean water. Again, we're trending towards a drier year than last 2021 was fairly dry. The clean water is reflective of what we're returning back to the environment. So 7.74 billion gallons through the end of July. Projecting that out, that's actually a little bit even lower than 2021. So it's kind of reflective that we continue to be fairly dry. We did get some nice rains last night, but we're not really seeing that the amount of rain coming in consistently enough to really push our base flows up. Reused effluent, we're using more of that on site. I think that's reflective of a little bit more use in cooling sludge to try and get a little bit better use of our polymers. The hotter the sludge is, there's a number of factors going to polymer efficiency, but a hotter biosolids going across there, like coming off a Class A process, demands more polymer. So, if we can cool it down a little bit, we'll save a little bit on polymer. So that's the reason when I say cooling water, that's what we're doing with that. And then biogas, we are continuing to track higher than normal. And I think that's reflective of the first half of the year, we've had higher loadings to the plant. So those numbers are, manifesting themselves as biogas. So a potential resource there. So any questions on this slide? Okay, moving on. For the biosolids, for the MetroGrow storage, at the end of July, we were just under 60% full. That's, as of this morning, under 40%. So they'd started haul out in late July. The MetroGrow team has been hauling out pretty steadily through August, and we're in really good shape as it stands right now. The rain would have stopped us today anyway, but they actually had to stop after a little less than half a day yesterday. Just they're actually waiting on DNR to approve fields, so we're actually kind of being held up at the moment. That we just need the fields approved so that we can go out and apply to those. So that process is taking a little longer than we'd like, and that may also be a function of just how good the weather's been, that we're actually outpacing the DNR's ability to approve that. So the rest of the parameters, MetroGrow, that's our Class B liquid biosolids. That's what's going out in the biosolids, or it goes into the biosolids storage tank and will eventually be applied to the fields. That's on pace to be about normal for the year. We did make a little bit of cake in July. That was for the Polymer Trials, and the results of those trials were approved in consent on this agenda. So we had 2 successful runs of the centrifuge to trial out the proposed polymers the vendors were bidding. And then struvite production continues to trend toward the lower side overall. And we're working on efforts to try and see if we can optimize that a little bit, focusing on that now that we've got liquid processing phase 1 kind of in the rear view mirror. So any questions on this slide? Okay. And that is actually all I have.
Okay, thank you, Alan. So that will conclude the item 5A through C. Does anybody have any questions for Alan? Okay, so that will move us to closed session. We're going to need a roll call vote, or roll call vote to convene in closed session in accordance with 19.851C of Wisconsin statutes to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. And this is on the subcommittee report on 360 degree personnel performance review. We have a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Meyer,
Wilson second.
second by Commissioner Wilson. Okay, Janelle, would you like to do the roll call vote, please?
Certainly, and I also want to notify the commission members should be receiving an invite to a breakout room. Okay. Roll call vote. Commissioner Bookland.
Yes, aye, sorry.
Okay. Commissioner Clark.
Yes, aye.
Commissioner Eskridge.
Aye.
Commissioner Foster.
Aye.
Commissioner Hobble.
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer.
Aye.
Commissioner Murphy.
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Oops, okay, motion carries. And then I've not yet seen the invite, so has anybody else received
Yeah,
it?
I saw it, Tom. I was just gonna join it now that we're in closed session.
Yeah, I see it here too.
Hmm.
It's a
Usually-
little box of squares in the corner.
Commissioner Hobble, I will resend to you.
Oh,
Janelle, I'm not seeing it either.
Okay. You should now. Michael?
Okay, let's see. I think everybody's back. So we had a roll call to go back into open session. It was unanimous to move back. And Sarah will now give the report as to what was discussed and our next steps that were agreed to in our closed session that you can record for the record.
Great.
Sarah?
Thank you, President Hovell. So in our closed session, we accepted the subcommittee on CED performance reviews report out of the 2021 CED performance review process, monitoring and evaluation process. And we approved 3 key next steps on CED performance review process improvements going forward. The first being that the subcommittee on CED performance will meet with the ELC in the next month or so to conclude, to get their feedback on how the process went this year. Then the subcommittee will meet with MMSD key HR staff and consultants, including BJ Rogers, Stefan Rosenbaum, and anyone else deemed appropriate with Mike Lipsky and Michael to conduct a discovery process on key ways that we'd like to improve the CED performance review process moving forward, with the expectation that staff team will take that discovery and propose in the first quarter of 2023 options for the full commission to consider on CED performance review improvement, a new process moving forward. That's the report.
Okay,
You got all that, Janelle?
I don't, but the nice thing about hybrid
It's
is
recorded.
that it's recorded.
Yep. So you can go
I
back.
did have a question though for clarification. When you came back into open session, you said you had a roll call vote. Can I
Yep.
have who motioned and seconded?
Eskridge and Murphy. Eskridge made the motion, Murphy second.
Thank you.
They aced me out of that one, Janelle.
Okay, Sarah, you did say 3 aspects. I only had 2 wrote down. Was there anything else?
3 next steps. So the first being ELC and subcommittee meeting, second being staff meeting with subcommittee in the next 2 months for a discovery process, and then the third being a first quarter of 2023 full commission conversation to review options for performance review process moving forward.
Okay, perfect. I got that.
Great.
Okay, good. That will conclude our discussion on the closed session items and the discussion of any actions. So we move to future agenda topics. The future meeting schedules in the packet. We've just added a couple items to be added to our list for the future meetings. So hopefully that'll show up by the next meeting. Any other business?
I have one thing, if it's okay, Tom. I just want to apologize for that last short meeting. It's Wilson. That last short meeting. I think I might have told Janelle that I could actually make it, even though we were out of town. And I thought it was going to be easy, and it was not. There was a little bit of commotion because we were leaving, and then a little bit of service problem because I was in the middle of nowhere. So I apologize for that. And then I looked back over the video and I see that there was a little bit of, I would have helped if I could have gotten on. So I do apologize for that. And I don't apologize often, but for that one I do. Sorry. Sorry, everybody.
That's all right. When we're dealing with long distance, like I had to move my location because all of a sudden when Sarah was talking, my internet dropped. And I don't understand why, but because I was looking at it, it had 3 bars, and then boom, all of a sudden it's dropped. So, okay, that stuff happens. Okay, so then we move to adjournment.
I'll move, we adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Wilson,
Good meeting, everybody.
I'll second Commissioner Clark.
second by Commissioner Clark to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? None.
Care,
Motion
everyone.
carries. Have a good rest of the week, everybody.
Thank you all.
See y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.